Hi everybody, welcome to my latest video. I'm happy to be back and getting to work on the land. There's a lot to tend to. As you can see, these grapes have gone crazy and definitely need to be tied up again. I also head down to the garden and sort out the basil and tomatoes. But most of this video is spent doing something that I've learned is my most hated job on the homestead, and that's cleaning out my water tank. It's been a process across several days, and though I got the job done, it led to something else that's going to be very frustrating to fix, and I still haven't solved the problem as of now, so I'm going to have to dedicate some time to that. So watch to the end to see what happens there. And yeah, it's been a tough few days of work on something that has not brought me a lot of joy, but hopefully you enjoy following along the process anyway. So let's just get into the video, and I hope you enjoy it. Good morning everybody, it looks perfect out there. I've got this little guy down here greeting me before I start my day, which is always lovely. And then outside, I think I spotted Larry in his usual spot. Hello, little dude. It's a gorgeous morning. I'm up early. I'm still very sleepy. No coffee has yet been put in my face. But I've been inspired because I don't know if you can hear in the background there, Sinead is strimming and she's been at it for probably about 45 minutes. So it's time to get my ass into gear and hit the garden to try to figure out what the heck is going on down there and tidy it up. My first task is to pump water into my 2 IBC tanks from my main tank. The water level is pretty low at the moment, and what I want to do is fill those up, and then I'm going to empty the rest of the water in the tank onto my trees on the bottom terrace, water my garden, and then get into the tank and clean it out. But before I do, I have the happiest and most remarkable news to share. Carface McGee, my really old 1997 Opel Corsa, has miraculously passed its inspection. I'm always completely mystified with how this car keeps getting through the emissions tests. It's burning oil, it's stinky, it's really old, and honestly I think I must have the most magical mechanic, because not only does he get this thing through the emissions test, the MOT every year, he also does it at a really amazing price. I basically have spent 135 euros total, including bolting on the wheel cover thing, including him actually taking it to the inspection for me, including the inspection fee, which I think is about 35 euros, and then he did a bunch of other work as well, mostly small things, but still 135 euros for all of that, especially on a car like this where you'd expect there to be loads and loads of things wrong, is amazing. And it's really like that every year. Sometimes I have to pay a bit more for something weird. Sometimes I have to get new tires to get through the inspection. But somehow this car keeps passing the tests, and honestly, long may it continue. I always think each year will be the last year for the car. But each year, the car surprises me. So, my first order of the day, I think, is to get these panels off the water tank, take the beers out of the swimming pool. Those have been in there since I had the Village to Valley cocktail crawl with my friends, and the pool hasn't really been used. I've been too busy, so it's gotten all manky again. Oh, are you coming for some fun as well? Hello. So yeah, let's tidy things up with my beloved Snap. Okay, the panels are off. Everything's stored nicely over here out of the way. The beers are out of the pool, but the sludge remains. So I've definitely got my work cut out for me, especially since this is looking super spiderwebby in here and really kind of gross actually. I also need to reconnect this tank with the main tank. At the moment, it's kind of hooked up so I can drain this one independently, but I don't think I really need to do that, and it means that the water here just kind of sits and stagnates, and so I want to solve that problem and basically just get in there and make everything look lovely once more. But there's an order to these things. First, I want to pump as much water as I can out of the tank. The level's really low, so I probably won't get much. And to turn the pump on, I just plug it in, easy peasy, and you go. And the pump noise is happening, and it should be pumping water into the tank. However, it's not pumping, it's making the weird slurping noise. So either my pump is squinty and not sitting flat, or there's not enough water in there. Let's investigate. So yeah, the water level is really low, so it doesn't seem like it has enough to actually suck it out. So what I'm gonna do is turn the pump off And I feel like if I solve that problem over there, it'll put a little bit more water into the main tank and allow it to suck. However, magically, it seems to be working now, so I don't really know. Let's do that anyway and add to the depth of the water. First, let's unplug it because you don't want pumps running when they're not sucking and it's about to run out of water very soon. And then the hacksaw is what I need to get this job done. As you guys who watch my channel regularly might know, I don't really do anything without giving it a lot of thought first. And within this tank, there's a whole network of pipes and things that I set up to allow me to drain each section independently. So the pool actually has its own pipe as well, but I made that too small, so it makes emptying the pool a real pain in the neck. And then this little one over here also has, it doesn't have a tap, but it has a pipe running through a larger hole, but that pipe actually blocks off the flow of the water coming out of the small section. So rather than diving into this algae mess and trying to unscrew it, I'm gonna hop in with a hacksaw and see if I can chop the pipe and then pull it out from the other side. It's pretty gross in here. Yuck. So this pipe, as you can see, fills up most of this pipe here, and so the water doesn't really come out, especially since there's a lot of algae and stuff in there, so it probably blocks that little space that there is. So it looks like this is a left-handed sawing job due to space. I've been looking for this. This is going to be handy for cleaning everything off. All right, so let's cut this and get this pipe out of the way. Left-handed sawing is definitely not my best skill, though. But I gotta say, I can do quite a few things with my left hand, and it definitely comes in handy, especially when I'm plastering in tight corners. And as it turns out, I guess I'm not that bad at left-handed sawing either. So I love a random skill. Oops, maybe I am bad at it. Come on. You know what? This is definitely a put the camera down job. So I'll see you in a moment when the pipe is free. Okay, the pipe is off. That was surprisingly difficult. And while I'm in here, let me just go underneath here. Try not to get covered in spider webs. Ooh, that's disgusting. Okay, hopefully they split before I need to get over to that corner. Okay, I'm out of the tank after much effort. And the reason I wanted to come down here was to show you that that pipe goes into a larger pipe there, the one on the right. And then that extends into the grass. And on the end of this pipe here, there's a tap. So any of the water that's coming out of that smaller tank just gets stopped here. There's also an overflow or a way to empty it at this T-junction under there. And there's another tap under the stairs. So there's a lot going on with my water systems. I don't know if it all works as planned. Maybe it needs a rethink, but for the moment, I'll be happy if I can just get in there and pull the hose out and drain this sludgy part. But rethinking my water system is definitely a job for another day. For the moment, I'll be happy if I can just drain this out and get things cleaned. Ooh, it's pretty gross in here. Okay, I was hoping I could just pull that pipe out. It's gonna need chopping as well. So I'm just gonna get on with that, and you'll see me again when I'm back in here with a hose and a scrub brush, ready to clean up this mess. Okay, I'm back. I'm coming at you from the cucumbers. Before I go up to clean the water tank, I have a quick side quest. I got the pipe out, the tank filled up a bit more. I was able to pump more water up to the IBCs. I watered the garden, and as I was watering, I spotted loads of lovely, luscious tomatoes, so I'm gonna pick some of those. And I'm over here in the crazy cucumber bed because yesterday I spotted a few that look good, and I'm gonna grab those as well and make gazpacho. I think I might try to do a cucumber one and a tomato one, and being able to make it from the garden is gonna be amazing. So I don't exactly know where this cucumber was. I think that's the problem with not trellising things. Finding the actual cucumbers and then finding the roots to be able to direct the water to the right spot is gonna be pretty tricky. So I got this one, spotted it yesterday, and I think there was another one. Over there, this one might be a little bit too small. Let's take it anyway. Because these ones are actually for pickling and you're not meant to grow them to be too big. This size is probably perfect. So I'll be back in a minute to root around for some more cucumbers and that craziness. First I'm gonna pass the sunflower craziness and head over to the tomatoes because they look great and I haven't actually even tasted one yet this year. So I'm gonna snack on a few and see how they are. So I've got labels in here. These ones are mini bell. This grows to be a smaller overall plant than the other ones, which checks out. Some of these plants are absolutely enormous. So this is actually a good plant for, a good variety for planting in pots. And then over here, these are looking fabulous. I'm gonna pick some of these ones for my gazpacho. Do I have a label in there? This is what happens. I put labels in and somehow they go missing. Okay, there it is. Montserrat. So let's get one off the branch. It's looking good, looking lovely. It's got kind of a, I don't know, a usual tomato shape, normal tomato size. So I'm gonna pick the rest of those and put them in my gazpacho. And the ones that I'm most interested in are actually the little ones. So this should be labeled Tiny Tom. Oh no, these are Sweet Honey, so that's actually different. The Tiny Toms. Okay, the tiny tomatoes. These are ones that I saved seeds from, and they were super small and super sweet the last time. So I'm gonna see if these are as lovely and sweet as they were last year. So delicious. So I've got these ones in there. I planted quite a few of the yellow pear because they are freaking delicious. And I've got another plant around the back that's a bit easier to access and looks a bit more ready for picking. So yeah, they're a little bigger than they were last year. So they're doing well, and that's really nice to see because I saved seeds for these ones too. And when you save seeds and see your plants thriving, that's pretty cool. I mean, maybe it's not the coolest thing in the world, but I definitely think it's cool. And saving seeds is something I'm gonna do going forward, including probably just saving the seeds from the cucumbers behind me because they haven't really grown very well and the plants are looking kind of sad. So I might just investigate what I do about saving cucumber seeds. I have a feeling you leave them on the branch, the vine, whatever, until they grow big, and then you harvest them when they're yellow, but I must investigate further. So I'm gonna keep harvesting the tomatoes, grab all the ripe ones from the plants because I have plenty more on the way. And if I don't use them all in my gazpacho, I'll definitely snack on them or make other delicious things. I'm eating cherry tomatoes and all kinds of tomatoes actually all the time. It's one of my favorite things. And so, as you can imagine, this garden bed is very exciting for me. So I still haven't had coffee or breakfast, so I'm gonna do that as well after I pick all this stuff, and then I'll see you guys again from the water tank. Okay folks, I'm back. It's about 4:30 in the afternoon, and as you can see, I have done absolutely nothing to clean either the pool or the tank so far. And I'm blaming my lack of productivity on gazpacho. Not one, but two. I made a cucumber version and also a tomato gazpacho, and they're both very delicious, and it's gonna be great because I have meals lined up for the next few days. It's refreshing, it uses stuff from the garden, and it was really very enjoyable to make, but also pretty time consuming. And then my friends Billy and Roger stopped by to pick some plums. The tree is overloaded and Roger makes delicious jam, so they grabbed a bag of those. And of course, since I've been away for so long, we had a little bit of a catch up, had some coffee, and just hung out for a while. And of course, now the day is getting on and I have plans later on, so I'm not gonna try to clean this entire thing, but my goal is to at least get the pool done. So I've got my cleaning supplies, and while I wait for the pumping to finish, I'm gonna hop into this disaster area and give it a scrub. think that's gonna have to do for the moment because, as usual, it's a lot later than I expected. Time has totally gotten away from me and I have plans later. So I had hopes of cleaning the whole tank and doing the garden today, but I don't know what I'm thinking when I make these grand plans because, as you can see, everything takes a lot longer than expected, and if there's an opportunity for coffee or beer with friends, I'm usually gonna take that option. So I think it's looking really good. This over here is definitely the tool for the job, and I probably should invest in another one because it's gonna be handy for keeping the pool clean. But for the moment, I'm gonna call it on work. Tomorrow I'm gonna empty this all out on the trees on my bottom terrace, and I'm gonna be in there with the spiders, and then in the garden as well. So I'll see you then. Hello everybody from a gorgeous afternoon here on my bottom terrace. I'm about to give all of my trees down here a good old soaking, but I feel like I heard something creeping back here. Who do we have here? Mikey seems to be enjoying this long grass. I don't know if it's prime hunting ground for him, but as you can see, it's already very overgrown back here. The water has been leaking out of this, and also there's a water source coming from over there somewhere. So this area of the land is always damp. We also have the well there too. So this stuff grows like crazy, and I definitely need to be better about keeping on top of it. I'm off to a late start today. It's about 2 p.m. and that's because this morning it actually rained a bit and I didn't feel like getting out and hopping in the water tank to clean that out. I wanted the sun to shine. So the sun is out now, and the rain that came was just a teeny tiny bit, and it definitely did not do much to help the trees. So my idea for this morning is to empty the water tank out by moving the hose around to all of my trees while I also do some work down here. So I've already given the trees on my middle terrace a really good soaking, starting with the almond tree, which is looking really amazing. And then I moved on to remove some of the suckers from the bottom of that tree before moving the hose over to my apple tree, which definitely looks a lot sadder than most of my trees. I think that's the tree that's in the worst shape, so I don't know if I'm gonna try to save it or what, but she's not looking so good, and I don't know if there's hope for the apple tree, but perhaps if I give it a good soak, try to give it a bit more attention, maybe some compost, she'll spring back to life. So while I'm watering, I decided it would be a good idea to cut the suckers on the olive trees. It's nice to have something else to do when I'm watering, so I don't need to keep going up and down to the house or up and down to other jobs. I'd much rather just be on the bottom terrace or the middle terrace and focus on things that I can do there. And the olive suckers grow incredibly quickly, and it's a very satisfying job, and it's nice to keep on top of those. I'll probably have to do it again come November, but if I do a little bit now, it'll be a lot less when it comes time to actually pick the olives. So as I move the hose around to all the fruit trees on my bottom terrace, I'll be using the tool of joy to take away the suckers from the olive trees. And I'm gonna find it very satisfying because, as you all know, I love this thing. Another thing I'm gonna focus on is doing a bit of a chop and dropping of the comfrey. I don't know if this got quite as much water as it should have, but that's okay because comfrey is incredibly resilient. You can already see the green stuff growing back. But what I'd love to do is just chop off the dead stuff, and then I'll bank it up against the outside of the tree, and it just makes an amazing mulch. And as I do all of these jobs, mulching and chopping the olive suckers off, I'll basically just be moving the hose around from tree to tree and giving them a really nice drink. And while I do this, or as this happens, it's basically gonna drain all the water from the tank above and then allow me to work in there. And then when it comes time to work on the tank, I'll just leave the hose on down here on one lucky tree, and the water will flow through and let me work without getting too soaked. So I feel like I've got a lot of work on my plate today. I think the water tank cleaning will take a while, and I'd love to get into the garden before the day is done. And I've got a lot of work to do down on this terrace as well. But before I get into that, I wanted to point out my orange tree. Unfortunately, it didn't get so much water, and it's not looking great. But to be honest with you, this thing is looking pretty straggly, and it has for quite a while because it was covered in vines for probably a couple of years. So what I'd like to do if I see signs of life from this thing, which I think I will, is use this tree to try to do some grafting. It's possible to graft different citrus onto one tree. So in theory, I could have a branch of limes. I could have a branch of lemons, a branch of oranges, and maybe even grapefruit, I'm not sure. So I'm gonna monitor the situation with this tree, and if it looks like it's coming back to life, I'm gonna research how to graft. It's something that happens, I think, at the end of the summer, just before the autumn is the best time to do it in Portugal. And so I've got plenty of time to observe, and I think it would be absolutely amazing to try this experiment and have different citrus on one tree. And so I've got plenty of time to observe to see if the tree is gonna be fit for some crazy grafting experiments. And I've always wanted to learn grafting, so trying something like that I think will be very interesting. And that's my plan, so we'll see if the tree survives. I really hope it does. So I've got a crazy amount of work to do today, and I'm just gonna get on with things. So I'll see you guys again soon when the olive suckers are trimmed, the fruit trees are watered, and when I'm ready to get into the water tank for some cleaning. Okay, the tank is finally empty. That's taken around 5 or 6 hours, and as you can see, the pool is also empty and full of sludge. And then over here, that's empty-ish and also full of sludge. So I've actually been spending a lot of time running up and down, moving the hose around between the trees. And while I did that, I've been focused up on the garden, tying up the tomatoes, snipping off the suckers, and also going around to the basil flowers as well and snipping those off with the scissors. So it's been a lot of work, but I feel like the tomatoes look way better, way happier, and there were definitely a lot of suckers on there to deal with, but it's a very satisfying job. I love it, and it's nice to see the tomatoes looking a lot better. I decided to avoid the scary tomato jungle for another day, and I'm going to tackle that along with the rest of the garden, which overall is looking quite disastrous. So I'll be up early tomorrow, and I'm going to tackle the weeds, liberate the pepper plants, and just try to make everything a lot more tidy. But this evening, right now, it's about 7 p.m., and though I'm really dreading this job, it's time to just hop in there and get this stuff cleaned up. So now that the water tank is empty, I've got the hose on my orange tree. I'm gonna really try my hardest to bring that thing back to life, and basically the water is flowing down there as quickly as the spring brings the water in, and it's flowing quite a bit more quickly than I would have expected. So there's loads of water up in these parts. It's definitely not a problem, at least not for the moment, and that's really nice to see, especially since we've had so much hot weather. So I'm gonna hop into this tank and get cleaning. Oh man, this is not gonna be the most pleasant job. Now I know why I've been avoiding it for so long. But if I do a good job, this is probably something I won't need to do again for a couple of years. So I suppose that's something to keep me motivated. I don't know why this was in here. Got a random block. And definitely a whole lot of algae and sludge. But as I think I mentioned before, this section of the tank is sort of separate from the rest of it, so the algae that's in here, the sludge and dirt, doesn't really seem to spread over to the tank, to the main tank. Ah, gosh. Just splashed myself in the face. I've got a spider web hanging off my hat. Give me strength. At least with stuff like this, I don't know if you can hear me down there, at least with jobs like this, you can definitely see a major difference from start to finish. And so, that's what's going to keep me motivated. I have a lemon. Be gone. So this is me. I'm just going to be in here scooping sludge out. And then once I've got this stuff out, I'll give it a scrub. So this is where I'm at. It's definitely extremely gross. The hole of mystery is looking very mysterious. And yeah, I'm just gonna be pulling this crap out. And possibly the drain is blocked actually, because this isn't draining. Anyway, I've got a lot of work to do, so here's where I'm at. It's gross, it's muddy, it's nasty. And I'll see you soon when it's finished. Okay, I'm back, and after maybe about a half an hour, it's a lot cleaner in here. going over to this part here where I'll finish on camera because I'm finding it very, very satisfying. I do feel as though I'm taking off some outer layer of cement as I do this, but that's okay, I guess. I'd rather just have it clean. And as I mentioned, it is weirdly enjoyable to see all this sludge coming off, even if it does take half the wall with it. Oh well. Oh yeah, it looks like I'm just scraping the sand right off of the front of the plaster. Oops, my bucket's too far away. But I guess that's the price I have to pay for cleanliness. So I've got a bit more to do in here. And though I am very happy with the results, it has not been enjoyable as suspected, and the night is getting on, so I'm gonna leave this part of the water tank until tomorrow. I'm a master of procrastination when I need to be, and I'm gonna do the swimming pool and finish this a little bit off tonight. But since time is getting on, and since I'm kind of losing the will to live, we're gonna do it the fast way with the snap. Okay, the pool is as clean as it's gonna get tonight. I've been scrubbing my little heart out with this fairly pathetic brush. Definitely need to get a new one. And I'm hoping the water drains out fully before tomorrow. In here it's quite dark because it's really late, so it's hard to see, but I've done my best to clean this out completely. And then tomorrow I'm gonna be in here with the spiders. That looks pretty spooky and very dirty. So I'm kind of dreading tomorrow morning. That's not gonna be fun. Nobody wants to hang out in the darkness with a bunch of spiders. Not a great way to start the day, but once it's finished, I'm gonna be very, very happy. So it's about 9 p.m. The sun is going down over the mountains. It's a beautiful evening, but I'm pretty sure I'm just gonna go upstairs, have a shower, and climb into bed because this has been pretty exhausting. So I'm gonna climb out of this hole, and then tomorrow I'll be climbing into that hole. That's all gonna be rather unenjoyable. So I'm gonna psych myself up, and hopefully it won't be as bad as I think. Anyway, we're working on this tomorrow as well, so it's gonna be a very busy day, and I'm gonna head to bed to get some rest. It's another beautiful day to be stuck in a water tank. I suppose if I need to be in there, it's better to do it on a warm day. So the swimming pool is drained out nicely. I've got a little bit of stuff to sweep up, but overall I'm happy with this part. And then over here, that's looking pretty good as well. So time to tackle the job that I've been avoiding for a very, very long time. So I'm off to a slow start again this morning, but this time it's for a really good cause because Sinead has had the top floor of her house delivered. It came on a massive truck and it's been delivered up to the builder's yard just up the road. And we put some tarps on it and it's ready for delivery I think in a couple days, and then they're going to start work on it I think next week. So it's going to be amazing to see that structure go up, and I'm going to be following along very closely because I think straw bale is amazing, but what this company does is build it into panels that are easy to assemble on site rather than dealing with bales, individual bales. You've got these sort of giant boxes stuffed with straw. So you get all of the excellent insulating properties of straw without the hassle of dealing with irregular straw bales. So I think it's going to be fabulous. It looks great, and the carpenter working on it is wonderful, and I'm really excited to see how this all goes. But far less exciting for me is cleaning out this water tank. So I guess phase one is get rid of the water that's standing here. I don't know why it hasn't drained out. I'll probably have to poke something in the hole and see if it's blocked, but let's empty this out and then get scrubbing, I guess. So it's pretty manky in here. But fortunately, it looks like the spiders have moved out at least. So my dad built this tank, and it's a really clever design where the 3 panels lift out, but it's actually quite a pain in the neck either trying to go underneath them or over top of them to move the camera around. So I have a feeling it's going to just be some before shots and then some after shots. And I think I made a mistake when I was originally doing the pipe work for this whole structure, and I went too small on the outlet pipes, so I don't think it gets clogged necessarily, but it just takes a long time to drain out when the water level is low. And so I'm really hoping it drains eventually because I don't fancy bucketing this out. Anyway, this is what I'll be doing for the next little while. Sweeping water into a pipe hole. Okay, I'm back. I realized very quickly that this is going to take forever. I even started bucketing things out because the drain wasn't working very well. And then I thought, that's ridiculous. But the problem is that this drain hole here is quite small, and I'm imagining it's probably blocked in there somewhere, perhaps. But getting the pipe fittings off for the large pipe is really hard, and so rather than messing around with that, I've opened up a second drain, which is one that goes to the pool. So all of them are too small. Even though this pipe is gigantic, there's still a bottleneck at the source there, so I definitely could have planned this a little better. If you want to do drain holes, always go with a bigger pipe. That's what I always say. Actually, I've never said that before in my life, but I'm going to start saying it now. That's my advice to people. So, while that's draining out, I figured perhaps I can do a bit of tidying up. This is all that sand that I accidentally took off of the wall of the smaller tank. I don't know if that's a problem with my mix or just being submerged in water, or I guess the brush that I was using was pretty strong and wiry, so I guess it just scraped it away. Anyway, I'm going to clear away some spider webs, clean off the sand, possibly screw down some of these boards. The wood obviously shrinks and expands, and over the years they've just become detached, so I just need some better nails. And okay, so here's where I'm at. You can see it's very, very slowly draining, and I'm gonna get to work with this, and I'll be back soon. So I'm back again. The water's going out of the pipes, but it's very slow, and I don't really feel like waiting around longer than I have to. So the bucket is out. It's part of the tank emptying operation, and I'll get there in the end. It's just gonna be a lot more annoying than just simply opening a drain. So, I'm bucketing. I'm emptying. I'm sweeping. And then I'm using this thing to sweep underneath the wood. There's all kinds of spider webs and things under there. And it's been pretty handy. So, I've got a lot of work to do still to empty the tank. And I guess I'll just keep going with the bucket while the pipes sort of do their thing. They've been fairly disappointing, I gotta say. Anyway, this is me. I'll see you soon. So, I don't usually like to complain about the jobs I do. I can find joy in most things, but this job, this one is a nope from me, so I'm very happy that it only has to be done once in a while. So I'm making some good progress with the water. You can see that the water is still flowing from the spring, and I just need to remove all the sludge. I'm not going to scrub this too hard because it has been protected from the algae, so it really is just a matter of the silt and stuff collecting. And then when I'm ready to totally empty the tank, there's a tap on the bottom terrace that I can open. I just didn't want to do it with so many leaves and things in there, because if that got clogged, I'd be totally screwed. So, now that I'm over on this side, let's get in here and get some spider webs. That was weirdly satisfying. Alright guys, I've got some sweeping of dirt, some shoveling of the dirt out there, and still a lot of work ahead of me, so goodbye once again. I'm just gonna get on with things. Okay, I've opened the tap on the bottom terrace, so now the water's flowing a little bit more quickly out of that hole. And it's flowing rather quickly from that hole, so I imagine it's just sort of topping itself up. But I have enough space to work. What I'm doing is basically sweeping all the stuff over into this high corner here. And then I get at it with the shovel. And then I'm making a pile of dirt over here that I'll probably just leave there, or maybe I'll remove it somewhere else. So I've got a bit more work to do. I definitely am not going to try to film this because it's too hard hopping in and out of the tank. But you can see lots of dirt over there and sand and stuff, some spider webs. I'll probably scrub the rocks a little bit over on that side. And I'm just going to do it all off camera because, as I've mentioned once or twice, this job is not my favorite, and filming things just makes everything go a lot more slowly. So things in here are still looking pretty silty. I could probably try to get a bit more of the dirt out, but it's super hard to do with that shovel, and so instead I'm just gonna give up and hose things down. And hopefully nothing gets stuck in the drain, because if that thing gets blocked, it runs all the way down the land. I'm not really exactly sure what I would do, but the drain is quite thick. It's a 2-incher, and I feel like it should be fine because I've gotten rid of anything like too chunky. It's mostly just sandy stuff at this stage. Anyway, so I've got this brush here. I'm going to give everything a hose, and then I'll probably attack the sides a little bit with the brush. Clean it to the best of my ability until I lose patience with this thing and call it done, because it definitely doesn't need to be perfect. It's already a bazillion times better than it was, and sometimes you just have to know when to quit. Okay, I think this is about as good as it's going to get, at least for the moment. You can still see there's quite a bit of sandy stuff in there, but it's just too hard to get it out with my tiny drain hole. So I've given up for the moment. So my plan now is to close the taps off, let the tank fill up. It's 2 p.m. now, and I'm really curious to see how long it takes to get full. And then I'm going to give it one more big empty, flush everything out, and then call it done after that. So it's been very unpleasant, but I hope you've enjoyed participating in my misery. I'm going to have some lunch, and then I'll see you guys again soon from the garden, which is looking like it's going to be another tough job. So as often happens in these parts, there's been a change of plans. It's actually the next day, and yesterday afternoon was taken up helping a friend with car troubles. So I ended up driving her around to pick up another car, and that took up my afternoon. So that was bad news for her, but I'm always happy to help out where I can. But bad news for me is that even though I was very careful to try to clear out the debris and leaves and sludge before I started using the tank again, as you can see, the hose is not flowing, and I've also opened a pipe down there that's a larger pipe, and I've opened one up on my middle terrace. So it seems that the hose is blocked somewhere between the top terrace and the middle terrace, and I'm definitely going to need to figure that out before I can move on to something else. So I've got a lot of frustrating work in my future after a video basically of me moaning about cleaning the tank. So I feel like this hasn't been the most positive video, but I assure you I am very excited to be back and looking forward to tackling the jobs, even the challenging ones and even the ones that I don't like. So I'm just going to say goodbye from this video, start afresh with a positive attitude, and then get going again on the crack shack and finish off the garden as well. And hopefully I'll have solved this very annoying pipe problem. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a like. And if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe. I'm going to give Mikey a little cuddle. I'm also pet sitting my friend's dog over there, so I don't think he's too impressed with that. Don't worry, buddy. He's friendly. Anyway, thanks as always for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.